Hi, I'm Debi Peverill from Payne's Financial Training Group, and this video is about how to fill in the Ontario TD1 form for 2022. We also have a video on how to do the federal form. So this applies, of course, only to people who are resident in Ontario. The form itself is a two-page form. It is called the TD1 ON to indicate TD1 for Ontario. The first part of the form is name, address, birth date, and social insurance number. So that part's fairly straightforward. The purpose of this form, of course, is to fill in by an employee, give to the employer, and it determines how much income tax is going to be withheld from paychecks for that employee. So the reason you do it accurately, hopefully, is to get the right amount of income tax taken. If, in fact, the return isn't done properly and you end up not having the right amount of income tax, you will still pay the right amount of income tax when your personal tax return's done. The benefit of doing this right is that it's easier for most people to have tax withheld every 2 weeks from their paycheck than it is to pay it all at once at the end of April. So we're going to go through this in box number order. Box 1 is the basic personal amount. Everyone who is employed in Ontario can claim an amount of $11,141 from their Ontario taxes. If you have more than one employer, we're going to talk about that at the end, but basically you're only going to claim these credits once. Box 2 is the age amount. If you are 65 or older on December 31st of 2022, and your net income for the year will be $40,495 or less, then you may claim an additional $5,440. If your income will be between $40,495 and $7,062, then you can do a partial claim, which is on the worksheet. Basically, once your income is over $76,762, then you are not entitled to any of this age exemption. So when you're under the limit, you get the full amount, the full $5,440. If you're in between that number and $76,762, you get a partial credit. Over that $76,762, you don't get any. The pension income amount. If you are receiving pension income other than Old Age Security and Canada Pension Plan, then you can deduct an amount of $1,541. That's a flat rate amount. If your pension income is less than that, of course, you can only deduct the lesser amount. The disability amount. If you have applied for and gotten, you've received word that you were entitled to a disability tax credit, then the amount you can claim here is $9,001. And that could have, if you're disabled but you haven't got the disability tax credit, then you can't claim anything. This only applies to people who have received the disability tax credit, and the amount is $9,001. If you support a spouse or a common law partner in the year, then, and their income is under $946, then the amount you can claim for them is $9,460. If their income is going to be between $946 and $10,406, then you can do a partial claim on the worksheet. So that again is a proration. And yes, that, we'll talk about that last. The amount for an eligible dependent, this is other than a spouse or common law partner, is in box 6. So this is a situation where you do not have a spouse or a common law partner, but you do have a dependent child. In that case, you are entitled to the same deduction as you would have gotten for a spouse. If the child's income is under $946, you can claim $9,460. If their income is over the $946, between that and the $10,406, then you can do a proration. Basically, you get a deduction for their the amount less their income. Okay, so that's box 6. Box 7 is the Ontario Caregiver Amount. So if you are supporting an eligible infirm dependent who is 18 years of age or older, who is either your child, your grandchild, a parent, grandparent, brother, sister, then there is a worksheet available that you may be entitled to a deduction of that amount. On top of that, when we get to the worksheet. Box 8, amounts transferred from your spouse or common law partner. If your spouse will not use their age amount, their pension amount, or their disability amount, then they can transfer those amounts to you. So you would figure out the amounts that they have that they're not going to need, and that total goes in this box. Box 9 is amounts transferred from a dependent. If your dependent, such as your dependent child, has a disability amount, they will not use that disability amount, likely, so you're able to transfer that to your return. You can put that amount in box 9, and that will reduce the amount of income tax that is being taken from your paycheck. So this brings us to box 10, which you get the amount in box 10 by adding up all of the numbers from box 1 to box 9. For any box there where you read the words but it didn't apply to you, put a 0 or a dash so that it's clear that you considered those boxes and you're not going to go back later and wonder, look at them again. So all of that's on page 1. Page 2, there's a couple of things here that are important. If you have more than one employer this in 2022 or at the same time, you should tick the box that says you have more than one employer, because these credits, the amount you added up and came to the total on page 1, you can only claim them once. So you don't want two employers taking the same amounts into account, because you're not going to get the deduction twice. So if you want the correct amount of income tax taken from your paychecks, you don't want it included twice, these credits. So please tick that box and avoid yourself trouble in April. There's also a box if your income is going to be less than the total claim amount. So you add up the number, you get it in box 10, and it turns out that you're going to earn less than that. Then tick that box and no one will take any income tax from you. If you want to have additional income tax taken from your income, that has to be done on the federal form, which we talked about in the federal video. Same thing if you want to have less tax taken, there's a form, TD1, and that again is a federal form. If you are a non-resident, this video is not for you. You should seek competent professional advice in handling your tax affairs and filling in your forms. So the worksheet. So the TD1 form is 2 pages, but there's an additional 1-page long worksheet for people that have to prorate amounts. So one of the examples of this is the age amount. On line 2, you had to calculate the age amount, and this only applied to people whose base income was over $40,495. So they're going to do that calculation to reduce the amount of their age exemption by their income over the $40,495. Line 5, there was a place for figuring out your spouse's income and how much you could then claim as a dependent for amount for your spouse. So this starts with the base amount of $10,460 and subtracts the income of your spouse from that number to come up with your claim. So of course, if your spouse's income is over the $10,000, you're not getting a deduction. Same thing with the eligible dependent, which remember is a person who is when you have no spouse but a child that is dependent on you. Same calculation, $10,406 less that person's income. And the last one is the Ontario Caregiver Amount, which basically is calculating that caregiver amount considering the amount of income earned by each of the people who are dependent on you. So that starts with the $23,217, subtracts their income, subtracts the amount you've already claimed for them as an eligible dependent, and gives you the caregiver amount. So that's the Ontario TD1 form for 2022. I hope it helps you fill the form in. If you do have any questions, please let me know.